Thank you so much for tuning in to the Skelleftea Open here on MDG Media. It's Nate Perkins here to announce the winner of that huge giveaway, and the winner is Jan Fair. Jan, leave us a comment in this video and we will be in touch with you to ship you out that bag full of discs. Congratulations, and Clash, thank you so much for supporting this giveaway. Go check out their full lineup over at clashdiscs.com. Guys, we will see you next week in Norway for the PCS Open.
Many fans who are in this shit.
All right, everyone, welcome back to another MDG Media production. EUROTOUR stop number 5, the Skelleftea Open. This is the final round, front 9 holes. I'm your host, Nate Perkins, the Perks of Disc Golf, here with Elias Luukkonen. We're here at Disc Golf Terminalen, far north of Sweden. We've got a battle, Lauri Lehtinen against Paul McBeth. They've got 5 over 3rd place right now.
Yeah, Lauri Lehtinen, very hot player right now, coming off straight off a win from the THRU Open on the other side of the sea. Obviously, we got Paul McBeth also coming off from a win from the Swedish Open. So 2 very hot players right now. Paul's had a great European swing after that disaster of a Estonian Open finish. After that, he's been playing very well. Of course, we got the Estonian forehand specialist, Silver Lätt. One of the better forehands in the game, would you think?
Certainly one of the better forehands I've ever seen in person. And a new name for me, Gustave Dahlén from Sweden, rocking the Team Nordic and European birdies.
Yeah, he's super solid putter. Almost some rumors say he's even challenging Dennis Augustsson for that best putter in Sweden title. Had the pleasure of playing with Gustave in the second round. He was playing solid. Looking forward to continue that in this final round.
All right, hole 1, 219 meters. That tree right in the middle of this lush fairway kind of forces you to choose whether you want to throw straight or if you want to go with that wide hyzer. We've had a good mix of both so far this weekend. Once you throw that 105 to 115 meter shot around the corner, you're then left with something pretty similar on a pretty similar angle as well. It's kind of 2 pushing hyzers, and there's some OB on that right side looming.
64 F4 Lauri Lehtinen!
Lauri fresh off tying that course record yesterday, shooting 7 under. I believe 5 of those were on the front.
Yeah, he had that incredible start to the round yesterday. That's something he would like to replicate today. Hopefully get that lead early, as he's going a little bit straight on this first shot. Needs to finish left. That's not quite left as much as he would like, but on the fairway, still possibly a chance.
Sponsored by Discraft, 6-time world champion, and a huge happy birthday to Paul McBeth!
All right, this is what the people showed up for. Came to see Paul play, and of course he's here yet again leading the tournament. He's tied for it this time.
Yeah, must be nice playing a competitive round of disc golf on your birthday. I think probably no better way for Paul to spend that birthday, as he is on the left side. Not a great position there.
Up next from Estonia, sponsored by Latitude 64, Silver Lätt!
Silver Lat going with the unconventional forehand here. You think he's going to go forehand roller?
Very interested to see. I have never seen somebody go forehand off this tee, unless it was, of course, a lefty. Looks like he's going for that forehand roller. It's mega aggressive play. Needs to flip up. He's gone straight into the woods, but I respect the aggressiveness there.
Yeah, pretty fun
Up
shot
next
to attempt
from
on
Sweden and
hole
sponsored
one
by
in front of his
Nordic
crowd.
Gustave Dahlén.
Pretty exciting moment for Gustave, making the lead card final round here. Yeah. Seems to be playing a little quick. Sometimes that can happen when you're on a card that seems a little bigger than life.
Yeah, I believe this is probably the biggest lead card Gustave has made so far in his career. Still a young player, obviously. Let's see if Paul can get up and down from this difficult position. He's gone inside, unable to get into the circle. Might even be a difficult scramble from there for the par. Gustave up next, having to go with a flex shot. Turns it over too much, but easy par from there. No harm done. It's really okay to start with a par on this first hole. It's not one of the easier birdies on the course.
Ooh, Lauri from out of position almost feeds that forehand through the late trees there. He'll be at 13 meters.
Talking about 13, only 13% of the field getting the birdie on this hole. Looks like Silver is also not one of them. He has gone to the left with that forehand, and from here, very difficult approach. He has to glide that forehand down to the left. Looks like he's done a pretty good job of it inside the circle there. Probably gonna be a nervy putt still on that first hole.
Oh, nearly drops that one in there. That was, I feel like, outside of circle 3. McBeth has a tight window. Feeds it through nearly the whole way.
Let's see if Lauri can start off with some fireworks here. Great run from the knee. Just hits the cage. That would have been a huge stroke to gain on the first hole. Silver too, a little bit low. It's feeling tense on this first hole.
Good putt there for Paul. Putter's been hot all weekend for him. It just touched the ground one time yesterday.
Yep, and that's a theme that Paul has been carrying all the way from the Swedish Open, where he was particularly good from Circle 2, making over half of his Circle 2 putts. I feel like that's really a key to this course as well. You have a lot of those edge of circle or Circle 2 putts.
All right, hole 2, just 102 meters, but we have this daunting double mando just 30 meters off the tee here. Once you navigate through that mando, you're headed out into this field, and you want to see that disc start to hyzer out of sight. And there is some OB up on that road that's pretty hard to reach.
Yeah, many people going with an overstable driver on this hole, even though it's only 100 meters. Driver allows for that overstable finish. It looks like Lauri is kind of missing that overstability, pushing straight through the gap. Throws a good shot, but still not within circle 1. Maybe a chance for Paul here to pick up that lead with a good shot.
in early with... Makes the mandatory, but just drops short of it. Should be pretty routine up and down, but it just says a lot about where his release is at. He went late on the first, early on the second.
Yep, but it's a tough gap to hit, and somehow I feel like the gap really suits a flat release, but the fairway kind of requires more of a hyzer type shot. So little mental trick there by the course designer, as we see both Silver and Gustave well outside the circle, still within a long jump putt range. Paul going really quick here. It's a pretty routine shot from between the two Mandos, going with the zone there. Parks it. Then we're gonna have 3 long looks for the birdie here. Silver getting us started. Just look at this spin and pace that Gustave gets on the putter. Wow, that's a beautiful putt. Did not know that was coming. But that's to be expected from the man. He's known as the sniper, as he putts so accurately and so hard with such a good spin.
Yeah, that was a flat spin from deep in circle 2, and nice timing on that call, Elias. Healthy gallery approaching 300 for today's round.
Yeah, 300 is a big gallery for this course. You know, we have a lot of wooded fairways. Not much more people, I believe, would even fit the course. It feels like it's really tightly packed. Great atmosphere on the course. You know, the professional European crowd, they're getting excited. This is the biggest event they have held in many years here.
All right, hole 3 is a par 4. It's been playing as the toughest hole on the course. 2 main gaps to choose from. A lot of players are throwing the backhand through this straight gap that the drone is flying through now. You need at least 100 meters off this tee if you want to land somewhere near this old tee pad. And then this out of bounds just pinches in around this road. Second half of this fairway opens back up, but the OB continues up the right side. And then of course they've pushed this basket back through this little cutout in the woods. We've seen less than 10 birdies on this hole through 2 rounds. See how this card attacks it.
Still, actually, one thing that we forgot to note about the last hole. Shout out to Øyvind Jarns for getting the ace on hole 2. That was a great shot, but moving on to hole 3 now. Gustave, bad kick with the forehand. Does he stay safe? Barely does. That's a good break there, not to go to that left side OB. Doesn't have an angle to the green, I believe, but still par, very much in play.
And Lauri going with that forehand, and I got a little lucky to not get that left kick and kicks him down. That's out of position.
Yeah, looks like mostly everybody on the card going for that forehand gap. It is the more comfortable gap to hit, and with a good straight to hyzer forehand, you can get into the perfect position. Maybe not as much distance as with the inside gap. Unless maybe for this guy, he's got one of the biggest forehands in Europe. Just skipping to the woods. Nobody really in a great position here. Everybody, I believe, will have to play for par or a long look for the birdie.
Yeah, and this is a really hard spot to play for par from. You almost have to get a little aggressive and try and cross this little OB cutout, and Lauri does just that. Beautiful committed shot in between the little field goal right there. Ball has to hit the same gap. Oh my gosh, just a beautiful flip up with that force. He's at 15 meters for birdie.
Beautiful shot. That's the best he could ever ask for from that spot. Gustave here, trying to go high hyzer around all the trees, hopefully fade back into the fairway. And looks like he's done it perfectly. That's a great shot. Pretty simple approach from there. And you can just see how difficult of a place Silver has found on the right side. From here, I suppose he's going to throw some sort of flex forehand. Flex forehand really suits the end gap of this hole. You can get that forward push after Anheuser flight with that straight fade. Looks like he hit some trees. Likely gonna have to settle for the bogey unless he sinks a 20-meter putt from there.
Touchy shot here from Lauri. He overturns it, and he's just outside the circle now for his par look.
Yeah, that's not a putt that has caused Lauri a lot of problems in the past in this tournament, but still not the par putt you want. Gustave also probably not in the circle there. Silver putting for par from 20 meters, so big advantage to Paul on this hole. As Silver misses. Let's see if Paul can get that birdie. This would be huge considering the situation with Lauri.
Oh, so clean out of his hand. He knew it. He just held that follow through. Right side pocket. Puts a ton of pressure on Lauri now to get this one in, to not lose 2 strokes.
And Gustave with another great looking stroke there, just barely low. Lauri here. Important putt. Having to go with a straddle for the branches in front of him. Of course he makes it, no problem there. He's been putting great for this tournament. Really solid from that 10-meter range.
How many birdies do we even have on the 3rd hole? We just saw one of them right there.
We only had 5 birdies in total for the day. So Paul carding 20% of all the birdies we saw. Have to give a shout out personally on my card. James Proctor throwing it in from 50 meters for the birdie.
Yeah, I heard Proctor threw that one in to go 3 unders through the first 3. Best start of the weekend, and here we are, hole 4 back to back, just really challenging par 4s. This one is asking you to throw a turning driver that flies at least 110 meters to clear this OB pond. And then there's this beautiful dual fairway winding little figure 8 actually through this birch forest, and then there's a nice feature for this green, little mulch. Really just beautiful par 4, very memorable birdie if you happen to card one.
Yeah, I would expect all of these players to be going over the water with the first shot, or at least be trying to. That's exactly what Paul is trying to do. Angle is looking really good. He's to stay left enough to stay on the fairway, which he has not quite done. He's on the right side woods, or in the right side woods. Probably has to contend with a lot of trees there. Not really a clean look to the basket. Lauri has late released this way to the right. Needs to get lucky not to go OB, and he's short of the OB, but a very difficult position.
Yeah, big misfire there. You can kind of see him second guessing his footwork. Just out of sync. I think Silver's actually throwing a havoc here. And look, he's just leaning on the understability of that disc. How about that shape? Wow.
Damn, he threw that on a pretty steep hyzer. I thought it was never gonna turn. Instead, he got a lot of distance and even a good kick at the end. Let's see what Lauri can do from here. He has that tight gap in front. Just has to get a lot of distance here, as much as possible. Hopefully stay on the fairway, which is done pretty well. But it's still no easy approach from there. Gonna have to fight for that par. Gustave showing off some of that sidearm power. He has also skipped to the right side woods.
Tricky turn over here for Paul. He's going Buzz SS. Looks to be turning a little soon. Silver's all over this angle. Oh, and that's fading out just a bit too early.
Yeah, he was going for that left side sidearm gap that most players are going for with the approach. Looks like Lauri is going for that same gap. Have to push it pretty straight, which he doesn't. Really need to push the gap straight before hyzering hard at the end to hit it and also make it to the basket. And
A pretty timid looking shot from Lauri. I mean, he had a tough stance, but he really misfired on that one.
Gustave going for a huge jump, but he was, I believe, about 50 meters away there. Hit some branches and still a long ways to go to the basket. I suppose Paul would probably give it this a bit of a run. Gustave once again, great run from the far edge of circle 2, I believe. Really showing off that spin and power he's got on the putt. Silver as well, right on line, just a little bit low. All four really showing off some of that teeth it has. It is one of the more difficult holes on the course, actually the third most difficult, playing over half a stroke above par. That really tells you something with this talented field that we have up here in Skelleftea.
All right, last hole on this side of the road, just 104 meters. Used to be a dead straight shot, and now they've moved the pin just 20 meters to the left and tucked it into this wood line, and then they marked this OB line that kind of curls in around this pin, making it pretty challenging to get close and find yourself safe.
Yep, it's a short, tricky hole. Definitely the easiest of the first 5. It's the first hole on the course also that is playing below par, just barely below. Paul is going with a straight, I believe an Athena here, trying to go straight and hopefully fade at the end, but does not catch that fade. And you can see it's going to be a very scary putt from there, from 15 meters. OB only about 4 meters behind the basket.
Little misfire there from Silver. Early out of the hand. See if Lauri can adjust his timing. Yeah, nice shot. Just slightly low, and that's also a death putt. We got a little putt off coming.
Yep. I would expect both Paul and Lauri probably try to run those putts. Even though majority of the field might not. Gustave with a good kick there. Nobody really close on this hole. Surprising as it is, as we said, one of the easier holes on this front nine.
Good touch there from Silver, of course. Gustave just going to lay this up, and now we're going to have 2 putts straight out of this OB. You can see it's only, what, maybe 2 meters behind this pin. If you do not catch metal, you're likely headed into that OB little swamp. There we go. We're up and in. Left side catch right there. Putting a ton of pressure back on Lauri.
His putter is so hot right now, I can't believe it. Let's see if Lauri can match. He doesn't, and he's gone OB. That's gonna be a 2-stroke swing. Lauri's already 3 back. Before even tapping in that bogey, he's gonna be 4 back, I believe, after this hole. That's a huge swing early in the round.
Yeah, pretty wild. He's digging himself a hole here. It's wild. I mean, he just barely pulled that one right. It was a committed putt. Caught a lot of the right side chains, but just scooted past and into that out of bounds. And just like that, Paul McBeth has 4 strokes through the first 5 holes. And into hole 6, 135 meters, we have this little knoll right in front of you that makes you get the nose up just a little higher than you would ideally want it to shape a driver at this distance. Kind of have to hit something fast that is on a little bit of ante and just holding that angle the whole way. You really don't want to see it hyzer out too much, and you don't want to see it hold that turn too sharp either. There is out of bounds on the right, and it kind of wraps around the backside of the pin.
Yeah, it's a very difficult hole to park or even be in circle 1. Paul has turned his drive over early. Gonna have no chance for the birdie from there. Silver going with something very flippy here, hoping to turn it over all the way. He's done the opposite mistake of going left. You know, it's a pretty touchy shot at this distance. You have to really control that angle. Even Gustave's shot looking pretty good, but just not high enough to get the distance.
And Lauri hit that pretty clean. But you can see he just kind of got the nose up a little too much and didn't really give it that anhyzer angle. So it just hyzered off early, found a late tree. Tricky spot over here. A lot of little pine trees to navigate. That's circle 2 once again.
Yeah, but Lauri will have a good chance to fix that putting error from the last hole. And Silver also on the edge of the circle. Surprising on this hole 6, it is not one of the more difficult holes. It's a very often parred hole, not very often bogeyed hole. It looks like Paul is also gonna be on the edge of the circle. And maybe Gustave actually has a chance to get a stroke or even a couple of strokes on everybody. Wow, and of course he does. The sniper hits the target once again.
Oh, I love that putt, man. That is Just a flat spin putt that is carrying once again from deep in circle 2. And this is Lauri to save par. This is a must make at this point. Okay. Confident stroke. Not looking too stressed, but he's got to be very aware that he's lost 4 strokes already.
Yep, for sure. I saw Lauri before the round at the practice basket. He was looking very comfortable hitting pretty much all of his putts from circle's edge and even further away. Silver with a good putt there. Paul, this putt has a lot of pressure on it. Not to lose a stroke to Lauri, and he does it. Keeping the round clean. Only one on the lead card to still be bogey free after 6.
All right, hole 7, tight little S curve through the woods right here on this setup shot for the par 4. A lot of players are throwing a little hyzer flip that kind of flips up to flat and cruises straight. You don't want to see your disc fade too much. There is OB on the left side. There's a sharp dog leg on this hole. There's a Mando there off to your right in the trees that prevents you from cutting this hole through the woods, and then there is a little hazard pond right behind this pin. There's really only one small area you can land in to have a clean look at that dog leg for birdie.
Some players like Gustave here trying to go forehand, trying to bite off a lot of distance, hopefully even get into the gap, but he has faded out to the right side woods. Paul, last round he threw his flip-up shot very well. He's done it again, but this is pushing too straight. I believe there is very little to no chance for birdie there. Silver also, as he's a very strong forehand player, going for that Anheuser forehand. And this looks huge. He's to fade back though. Wow, hits the tree and he's in the perfect spot, I believe. That was a great break.
Great reaction there, and Lauri is going to go with that hyzer flip. Look at that flipping up and just holding flat. Is that enough distance, you think, Elias?
I think Lauri is going to be just a little bit short of the gap. Not going to be a lot of trouble, but definitely a difficult birdie. And Paul, what is he doing? He's trying to go over all the trees through a tiny gap. Where has he gone? I believe he did get around the Mando on the correct side, so no penalty there, and very long look to the basket. That was a crazy play from Paul.
Yeah, he must have just gotten around the Mando with where he landed. Okay, so Lauri has enough distance to chip that forehand up there. Nearly dunks it. He's going to get himself on the board here on hole 7. Took him a while, but it's never too late.
Yep, better late than never, I guess. Silver gonna do the same. Gonna have his first birdie here. And Gustave with another huge long jump putt there. This time just putting it under the basket. Paul probably not gonna put it under the basket here. Trying to make it. And that was a solid run. Gotta give it to him. Still gonna lose a stroke to Lauri though. And just look at the arc of this putt. It's going just perfectly straight. Perfectly flat. Nose angle also exactly flat. Incredible spin.
Yeah, something you can't really teach. Some people, they just project the disc like that when they putt, and some people can't really figure out how to do it. It's a pretty special putt that Gustave has for us. Okay, hole 8 has been one of the harder holes to find yourself even putting for birdie on. We've seen a lot of bogeys on this hole, and you'll see why. There's OB in the left tree line there. Really, you're trying to throw something up to 120 meters, maybe even as short as 105 to be in a good enough position to consider attacking this green. Basket used to be dead straight. This year they've cut this little path up into the woods right here. And how tough is this second shot, Elias?
It's very tough. Depending on the distance of your drop, if you get a very far drive, it opens up the backhand turnover, which is, I think, the ideal shot to get parked here. Silver going with a huge forehand off the tee. Wow, that was a 130 meter forehand, low ceiling.
He's still got it, man. I don't think he's lost any power there. And Lauri punching this one flat. That needs the hyzer. Oh, it catches a little pocket of bushes right there.
That said, pocket of bushes though is in a very good position, possibly even opening up that backhand drive that we mentioned, or backhand approach, as Gustave throws a beautiful flip-up shot right down the fairway. He's in the middle.
Paul going Athena again. He's been really leaning on this slower disc for the weekend. And that's a pretty tricky spot. I'm sure he's still attacking, and if so, he's going to have to hit a pretty early gap.
Yep. Very difficult birdie on this hole. Only 5% of the field getting the birdie here. You see Gustave going with the conventional forehand approach, but goes too long. You have to fade perfectly in time here to make that gap. Which Paul looks to have done pretty well. He's outside the circle about 13 meters there for the birdie. Great result.
Lauri from a standstill. Oh, beautiful shape. Skips into the mulch. Maybe 14 meters left for his birdie. And that just shows you how difficult it is. I mean, nice drive from Lauri. Beautiful little skip shot. And he's not even near the circle.
Silver contending with that right side. It's very thick. He's in the circle for par though. Lauri here. That was a huge moment for him. Just barely misses. And Paul is gonna have a possibility to take another stroke here. But he misses as well. That's almost a little bit surprising. I mean, they were in far circle too. But the way that both of those players have been putting so far this tournament, I think both of us were expecting at least one of them to make the putt.
I'm with you. Lauri just can't get him to drop right now. He's got one more hole on his front to get himself back to even. And he's still 4 back of Paul. Pardon me, he will be 3 back. We very much still have a battle on our hands. I imagine it's going to be like that through the duration of this round. Disc golf Terminalen is very unpredictable. A lot of challenging holes remain. Including this one, you've got to hit a series of early gaps. A lot of players are throwing a hyzer flip that gets up to flat and pushes pretty straight. Common misses are over there in that right side tree or hit one of the early gaps. And once you land out in this field, you take a left turn and you're headed at least 110 meters pretty straight. There's some OB kind of looming there on that right side, and you can see there's just one little entrance here. You can't get lucky through that right side, and the putts over there on the left are pretty tricky as well.
Another rarely birdied hole. Only 7% of the field getting the birdie on this hole. Silver gets a really good kick from one of the first bushy trees on the left side. Kicks almost all the way to the fairway. Very important on this drive to get a lot of distance. If you get a lot of distance to the fairway, you're gonna have a relatively simple yet still pretty difficult approach. Looks like Lauri has done that perfectly. Just barely got to the fairway. He's gonna have 110 meters to the baskets from there. Just a straight shot. Gustave pulls it right. Let's see if Paul can flip this up down the fairway. Looks like he's early left, kicking to the right. That's not ideal. Looks like Lauri has a pretty good chance to pick up a stroke on Paul here.
Gustave from well out of position. Just trying to cover ground with this hyzer out into the field. Yeah, quality shot. Ooh, Paul also out of position here. Really high Anheuser forehand. Okay, pans back to flat. No danger of finding that OB.
Yeah, that was a high risk shot. If he had fed it out to the right, the OB would have come into play quickly. Silver going with a powerful sidearm there, turning it over to the left. And Lauri, important shot here. Has to get through the gap here for that birdie. Looks like he has actually turned it over. Needs to get through the gaps. And wow, you never see discs go through those woods. That was very lucky break there. Right when he needed it, honestly.
Yeah. That's a big moment in the round, no question. Now Paul has to get up and down here.
You're supposed to go right.
Leaves himself a little 9-meter putt coming back at it. I always wonder if he just feels nerves when he sees his disc land far, or if at this point, you know, he's feeling much of anything, you know? You think McBeth is nervous with a little 9-meter putt like that?
I don't know, I think he's probably a little bit nervous, but like many great athletes, he probably can turn those nerves into even better focus. I believe that's one of the reasons we rarely see Paul missing some of those easy putts, and Silver with a big air ball there, going almost as far as he was on the other side.
And McBeth is good for the par save. Nice recovery putt from Silver right there. And this is Lauri after filtering through the trees. Wow. Ended up close. There we go. Getting one back. Lead. Just 2 strokes now.
Yep, and pushing his score back to even par, which for the majority of the field would be a perfectly fine front 9, but I'm sure Lauri is not happy with that. As we're done with the front 9. Paul leading by 2 strokes. Lauri 2 strokes back. And actually James Proctor 5 under through the front. I believe tying for the hottest front 9 we have seen during the weekend.
Yeah, pretty sweet. Shout out to Scott Stokely as well. Over 50 years old, competing out here with a bunch of European shredders. Elias, I see your name there rounding out the top 10, and it's a pretty exciting final round here in Skelleftea. Thank you guys so much for joining us here on MDG Media. Hit that like button, leave us a comment, let us know who's taking it down. Paul has just 2 strokes, guys. From Elias and Nate, we'll see you soon from the final 9 holes here in Skelleftea.